I often observed my son's inner turmoil from the doorway of his bedroom until the day I found myself standing at the entrance to his hospital room, utterly heartbroken and praying that his suffering not be in vain. "Help, Mom, help!" Those were the cries of a 12-year-old boy, fearful of the voices in his head. "Help, Mom, help!" became the mantra that reverberated throughout my body and our home. My son Aaron was diagnosed with a severe and persistent mental illness, and now I found myself at the National Institutes of Health, allowing him to take part in a research study on early childhood schizophrenia. From where I stood, I felt so close, yet so far from being able to touch or even connect with him on a meaningful level. The voices not only separated me from him, but they separated him from himself. As he yelled and screamed and thrashed about in his bed, I couldn't imagine a suffering greater than one in which you lose your mind. Because when you lose your mind, you lose the essence of who you are. I prayed because "help, Mom, help" is what I was being called to do. I never had a reason to question my beliefs about mental illness until it impacted my family. If I had disparaging thoughts before, they were unbeknownst to me. However, Aaron's diagnosis provided an opportunity for me to explore what I truly believed. During my quest for answers, I searched through loads of information on the internet about mental illness. Yet, the only answer I couldn't find was what the illness meant to me. That was something I would have to discover on my own. The countless psychotic episodes, the unpredictable behavior, the relentless cries for help, the opinions of doctors, other people's perspectives, and the blanket of stigma that shrouded it all eventually influenced what I decided to believe. I decided to believe that as painfully tragic and disruptive brain illnesses can be, people can get better and they can have productive lives. Over the years, I've encountered many well-intentioned individuals, each offering advice, suggestions, and even predictions of my son's outcome in life, all devoid of the one thing I needed most: hope. Hope that he would be all right, that I would be all right. Sometimes we talk about hope in a trite or cavalier way, forgetting that hope is the very lifeline we all need when there's nothing left to hold on to. Hope is the promise of things to come. It's the emphatic, undoubtable belief that what you want to see happen is possible. Hope will configure a path where there is none. It will guide your steps through your darkest days and open your mind to possibilities never before dreamed of. With that said, 3 months after Aaron's diagnosis, I was still wallowing in deep denial and not feeling very hopeful. So much so that I took him for a second opinion. The team of doctors who evaluated him confirmed that he did in fact have early childhood schizophrenia. But it's what they said afterwards that rattled my world. Miss Carney, they said, a third of the individuals with this disease will stay the same. A third will get better, and a third will get worse. We don't know which third your son will be in, but statistically, because he's diagnosed at such a young age, the prognosis isn't good. Can you imagine hearing the prognosis isn't good? To me, that was akin to a knife severing the remaining artery to an already broken heart. How can anyone live with a prediction like that? Who can survive without hope? During the 3-hour drive back to our home, I wrestled with the reality of what I had against the dream of what I wanted. Clearly, I had a decision to make, one that would become my compass in life. Aaron would be amongst the third that got better. As difficult as that decision was to make, knowing how to get him from a state of illness to a state of wellness was not as clear-cut. But hope provided a way. It gave me the courage to face the difficult challenges, the determination to live through the daily circumstances, and the strength to hold on to the belief in his recovery. Quite frankly, it was in our recovery. The African proverb, "It takes a village to raise a child," is equally true when we talk about recovering from a brain disease. It takes an entire community of different people interacting with family members, such as myself, or those with psychological challenges, such as Aaron, in order for healing to take place. Although, before that can happen, we must get better at recognizing our own limitations and biases about mental illness. We must get better at offering words of encouragement, as well as being a lifeline to those in need. Undoubtedly, in the initial months following Aaron's diagnosis, I was much more concerned with healing his mind instead of my heart. Until the day I discovered that a broken heart can't heal a broken brain. That got me thinking about all the other broken-hearted people living without hope. Truth be told, broken hearts don't heal broken brains, nor can they help heal broken people. However, to have hope is a statement, a declaration to yourself and others that says, I believe in the possibility that things will get better. Therefore, I will live my life according to that belief through every decision I make, action I take, and attitude I create. According to the National Alliance on Mental Illness, also known as NAMI, 1 in 5 adults in the U.S. experiences a mental illness in a given year. That equates to roughly 43 million adults, not counting their family members, who need to know that hope exists and recovery is possible, just as it has been for my son Aaron. Our youth are equally vulnerable, as 1 in 5 during the ages of 13 to 18 have or will have a severe mental disorder. However, as you may know, statistics only mean something if you're the one who collects the data, who analyzes the data, or who becomes part of the data. Because no one ever thinks that someone they love is going to be diagnosed with a mental illness until it happens. The odds that Aaron would be diagnosed with schizophrenia before the age of 13 with no family history of the disease was 1% of 1%. How in the world does that happen? It happens. And when it does, you need to become a support and offer encouragement to those who are caretakers like myself that are struggling with trying to take care of a loved one whose brain is not functioning well, regardless of what the statistics say. Whether we're referencing neurological brain diseases, such as epilepsy and Parkinson's, or psychiatric brain diseases, such as depression and addiction, it's important we don't lose sight of the human component when we speak in terms of percentages or statistics. Numbers are quantifiable. People are not. The truth of the matter is that many of us fear the stigma of mental illness, which is why very few people talk about it, seek treatment for it, self-medicate because of it, or isolate to hide from it. I believe that if we can make the conversation about mental health safe enough to talk about, those who need care will feel safe enough to seek treatment. It's now time for you to decide for yourself. Will you be amongst the third of our population whose attitude about mental illness stays the same? The third whose attitude gets worse? Or will you join me in being amongst the third that lets hope be your compass? Because it's time to elevate the conversation about mental health. Thank you.